When you hear the phrase soft as steel, what do you think of? While the word steel might conjure up images such as massive high-rise buildings, where does the soft part come in? And what exactly does this mean in our work and in our lives? Welcome to the Soft as Steel podcast with your host, Dennis Doran, featuring engaging conversations with a wide range of industry leaders around soft skills, how we practice love, inclusion, social justice, and compassionate leadership that's everlasting in the workplace. And now, here's Dennis Doran.
I am so pleased to be reconnected with my guest today. I met Wayne Crew over 12 years ago while Wayne was the director of the Construction Industry Institute, the renowned research center based at the University of Texas at Austin. At the time, I served as an executive leadership at the Construction Management Association of America. I worked closely with Wayne and his team during the conversations that led to the formation of an important strategic alliance relationship between CMAA and CII. While at CII, Wayne was elected to the National Academy, specifically in 2010, and recognized for his leadership in growing industry-wide awareness and understanding of the societal and business value of construction best practices development and deployment. Following his tenure at CII, went on to serve as the president and CEO of the National Academy of Construction, where he retired from that organization at the end of 2022, just last year. Wayne has over 50 years of experience in engineering and construction industry and has worked for both owner and contractor firms as well as in research. Early in his career, he served in project management and engineering positions for two large owner companies, Amoco Chemical Corporation and Michigan Chemical Corporation. Later, he served in executive positions at engineering giants Technip USA and KBR. His roles in research included serving as director of research at CII, and as I said earlier, and as their director. Wayne might say that one of his greatest accomplishments in life is meeting and marrying his wife, Ravanna, nearly 50 years ago. It's my pleasure to welcome you, Wayne, to the Soft and Steel podcast.
Dennis, thank you. I'm honored to be here and looking forward to a good conversation with you.
And I have no doubt that's about what's to happen. You've been an important thought leader in various roles, the two most significant ones that I mentioned in your introduction, your leadership role at CII and your leadership in the National Academy. The National Academy leadership role, I want to touch on that as a kind of an opening item of our conversation. That organization recognizes some of the greatest minds and leaders in our industry and that sit in a variety of seats, have sat in a variety of seats for their careers. And this academy recognizes them for their accomplishments. Share with our audience what your view is of the most important type or category of accomplishments that many of these leaders have in common.
Great question, Dennis. So all of the members of the National Academy have significant careers and lifetime achievements. But in order to be nominated and then voted by the membership to become a new member of the Academy, it's just not your achievements with your organization, right? So it's achievements with the industry. It's recognition by the industry of your leadership, not just in your organization, but in the industry itself. And it's making those contributions. It's extension of what you do in your organization to the whole industry that we honor at the National Academy of Construction with membership in the Academy.
Would you say that when you talk about their accomplishments beyond just their leadership and involvement in the organizations they are associated with currently or have been most recently, those accomplishments are related to the technical aspects of the building industry, or are they related more to aspects of the building industry that deal with the people in the industry?
Well, I think it's both, right? So if I think of Ted Kennedy, who was as you know, the past president and CEO of BE&K and one of the charter members of the Academy, he was known as a champion of innovation. So could be on the technical side, but also known for his commitment to people, his integrity and ethics, his generosity, lifetime of leadership in the industry. So I would say, Dennis, that it can be both and probably is both.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah, and I would agree. That's a good answer. I do want to try to cull out of it, as you know. I know you've maintained your connection even in these first 6 months of retirement. But while you were still at the academies, at the time when I published my book, Soft as Steel, I've been on the podium talking about the issues and the opportunities associated with people in our industry. So when you talked about some of Ted's qualities, you in fact mentioned several what I would describe as being his soft skills, and obviously talking about his great leadership has many implications. So as you look again, we're staying with this sample of excellence in the Academy membership. When you look at these individuals, they were all in their own way great leaders. So you did a terrific job of enunciating several qualities that Ted possessed. As again, I'm going to ask you to look back over a selection of those folks, let's say a random selection of those folks, and share, if you can, what you think some of their, as leaders, some of the greatest characteristics that they possessed in common. What made them great leaders?
Well, I think, Dennis, we'll start with integrity and ethics, right? And if I think of others in the Academy, Dave Nash, Dominic Servideo, Tom Gilbane, incredibly upfront I've been blessed to be associated with them and have them as examples of what integrity and ethics is. When I think of them, I think of their commitment to people. So I think of Jimmy Slaughter at S&B Engineering and Construction. I think of John Zachary at Zachary Group, and their commitment to people and their commitment to safety. I think of their work over the course of a lifetime. So it's been a consistent focus on excellence and a consistent focus on their people. And I look at their generosity with oftentimes both, not just their money, because it can be pretty easy to write a check, but with their time and their effort, and the same of their organization. And I think you sum all of that up, and it just makes an incredible leader in the design and construction industry. And again, let me say how blessed I am to have been able to work with this group of incredible people.
Yeah. Well, and again, I say this because I think it's a factual consideration. That is that they would say the same about you, each and every one of them, and all the many people that you've met during your long career in our industry. I'm trying to navigate a bit. Let's talk for a little bit about again, you're just away from the industry for just a few months, if you want to say you're away from it. But I'm sure in many ways you're still connected, maybe in ways that aren't so obvious. Because again, the nature of your last two roles in the industry, I would think it's almost impossible for you not to maintain a level of interest and curiosity in what's going on in the industry now, today, and as we go forward. So, in that, from that perspective, what do you think are the several greatest challenges that we are facing as a construction industry here in the middle of 2023 and looking forward?
So I think probably our greatest challenges are people, Dennis. We have, well, I've read one report that says we'll be we, the industry, design and construction, will be over 500,000 people short in 2023. So here we are halfway through 2023, and I don't know whether that's manifested itself or not exactly, but I know that, when I started in the industry 50 years ago, um, alloy welders was the big shortage in the trades. And then we moved from alloy welders to welders in general. And now we've moved not only from alloy welders and welders, but to electricians and millwrights. And we go down the list, and we even include helpers and laborers in our industry and in shortages. And so I think it's, we've always been a people industry. I think we will always be a people industry, even as we bring more and more technology into the industry to improve the productivity, to improve the speed of our industry. It's still going to be a people industry. And so when I think about the people, I look at myself. I just retired, but over 20% of the people in our industry today are over 55 years of age. Over 45% of the people in our industry are over 45 years of age. And you look at the demographics of just the country, and our birth rates are no longer giving us even replacement rates for our population. And so I think about the challenge of people, and I think about the challenge of our industry, which is hard work. It can, if you're here in Texas, you're working in 103 or 104 degrees today. So it's hard, it's hot. We as a construction industry have the biggest number of fatalities in our industry or in the workplace every year. Mm-hmm. So lots of people think it's deadly. Now, we've improved that so much since I came into the industry 50 years ago. And then you look at people, projects who don't seem to be built close to your house. So you're gonna travel. Even engineering people, get on airplanes and travel to projects. So you're away from home. You're away from your community. You miss your family. It's not an easy business to be in. And so I think people, if I had to say, and the impacts of our industry on those people are probably the biggest and the second biggest and the third biggest issue in our industry.
I would have to say that I would have been surprised if you had said anything else, frankly. I think because I agree wholeheartedly. With that thought in mind, we're also aware. We read articles on a regular basis regarding issues associated with diversity, issues associated with mental health, with abuse of opioids, suicide, addiction. None of those are fun, humorous topics, but they're all part of what we're facing now and have been facing for some time. But it isn't getting any better. Again, a good mutual friend of ours, Teresa Magnus, has added a whole nother line of interest from a curiosity, a research, and hopefully then a deployment standpoint, and that has to do with mental wellness. You described correctly. This is a tough business. Even in the lightest segments of our industry, it wears on a person's knees and their joints and their back, and so with all of these elements that you touched on or implied, what what would you say to the leaders of today? And I'm talking now about the individuals who are not just in that 55% that are over 55. That's an alarming number. For sure, and you also correctly indicated the fact that we're not even at the birthright level, replacing human beings at a sufficient rate to feed into the pipeline. So, what should leaders be doing today to try to do everything they can to attract as many possible entrants into industry as they can, and perhaps more importantly, take care of the ones that are already here?
That's another great question, and so I guess what I would do is to answer that question is maybe point you to somebody like Ross Myers, who's the CEO of Alan Myers. Ross is one of the first people in the industry that I know that identified mental wellness as an issue, and identified that the suicide rate among our industry is 5 times our fatality rate. So we lose existing workers, on the rate of some 5,000 people a year to suicide. And Alan has challenged other industry leaders. So it could be Gilbane, it could be Kiewit, it could be the leaders of Turner, to look at mental wellness, and they've been looking at it. They've started to, and many of the leading companies now are on campaigns to make mental wellness an issue, to make employee assistance programs available to all employees. So it's not just the home office, but it's the construction force, it's the trades, and so we've started down that path, right? I think it's the right path. If you look at S&B, engineering and construction, they have a whole employee program, like WHOLE. So it's looking at the mental wellness, the physical wellness of their workforce, looking at individuals holistically, and working with them and providing them the resources that can sustain them. So if you look at it, we've gotten a great start, and the leaders, the incredible leaders in our industry have picked that up and are moving it forward and are spreading it. I'd ask you to go back to Teresa's podcast, which just dropped today, and she'll speak to you about entering the industry. I don't know, I want to say 27 or 28 years ago. Well, I entered the industry 51 years ago, last month in June, and we had no requirements to wear hard hats. We had no requirements to wear safety glasses. We were starting to talk about those things. We had no requirements for fall protection. We had no requirements for lockout, tagout. We had no requirements for confined space. And so all of the things that have transpired to really make our industry safer and safer and safer. So if you look at recordable incident rates over the last, I don't know, I want to say 30 years that we've been recording them, they've come down significantly. The CII data shows the recordable incident rates coming down from 14 plus to the leaders today are 0.2, 0.3. So we see the same thing in the days away and restricted cases, and we even see the same in fatalities, but they've been coming down and down and down. Huge improvements in safety, and I think over time, as a result of our industry being as fragmented and diverse as it is, we'll see the mental wellness coming down too, or improving. But it's taking the leaders that are doing it today, again, the Tom Gilbanes, the Ross Myers, the Jimmy Slaughters, to start it in their organization, and then it, as I said, in a diverse and fragmented industry, it grows slowly, but it does grow.
I agree with you that today's active leaders in our industry are engaged and connected to these issues and challenges that we're facing. What I wonder is there enough of a synergy among leaders in different companies and different segments of our industry to elevate these issues to a sufficient level so that everybody is learning about them, everybody is talking about them, and everybody, particularly leaders at all levels in organizations, are equipped to be able to help people, whether it's a general wellness issue, whether it's specific to addiction, to the depression, anxiety, the opioid crisis. I know you know a good mutual friend of ours, I believe, is Cal Byers. And he speaks with great passion and authority with regards to all these issues. And when you talk to people that are fully engaged in the issues and challenges we're talking about, Wayne, you hear different assessments of how well we're doing as an industry in addressing these for the benefit of people in our industry, both for the purpose of attracting them and also retaining them and letting them grow through a career. Your thoughts?
I think the leading organizations and the leading companies in our industry have started to address these issues head on. But I think our industry is significantly fragmented and significantly diverse. So we can go from a local framer for residential to an office, a general contractor for a building company, to a significant leader in the industrial segment, to one that is multi-segmented. So when I think of somebody like a Bechtel, who's industry infrastructure, some those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. I see the leading and larger organizations, again, starting to address the issues head on. When I look at the smaller local and regional construction organizations, again, the local framer or the local home builder, as an example, I think we're a long way away from them recognizing the issue and addressing the issue.
Yeah.
So, and I think it takes our industry, again, is large enough. It has enough barriers and stuff. Again, I mentioned how fragmented it is, that it's even among the leaders and the leading organizations, it's going to take a long time for them to for all of them to face the issue head on.
Yeah,
that would be my assessment, Dennis.
Yeah, and I think it's a good one. I would dare say that we're looking at a timeline that will cover a full generation.
Yes.
Yeah, and we can also, again, it would be. It wouldn't be too harsh to say that we both know that our industry is not known for its rapid pace of innovation and change.
True.
And so we're fighting the tide a little bit. But again, it's as I talk to people in different parts of the country, I think you pinpoint one aspect which is important, and that is for a lot of the trades, a lot of the subcontractors are smaller companies. Even smaller family-owned companies, that are very local in their nature. They may be regional, multi-market, but in the finishing trades, which I have a lot of direct experience in through one of my client relationships, that their signatory contractors, the majority, if not the vast majority, are small mom and pop shops. A handful. They may keep 20 or 30 people busy in peak, and lay most of them off in the wintertime, or just hold on to 20 year round and just do what they can with 20 people, and that's their livelihood. So that's another one of the things that makes this, such a, in my view, and this is just from my perch, it makes it such a demanding challenge. To try to meet, because we can do everything we can. I'm sure you continue to hear the lamenting about the implications of technology in the industry. And whether it's AI, 4D design, robotics, automation of this and that and whatever, off-site construction of buildings and then taking them and raising them on jobs. All these innovations and technology implications in our industry. Some people just throw their hands up and say, you know what, this is bad. They're going to take our jobs. What's right or wrong about that?
They don't have to take our jobs. They just have to fill the jobs of all.
I'm just trying to rile you up.
People who are leaving the industry, right? So, again, another report I read, or maybe it was the same report, indicated that next year will be the peak year for baby boomers leaving the industry, and that's 1,200 a day. 1,200 baby boomers a day leaving the industry. Mm-hmm. So all we have to do is have the technology make up for the individuals leaving the industry. Mm-hmm. Technology, is my impression, has never really displaced people, right? And so when you think about technology, and you can think about digital twins, or you can think about AI, we might have AI as an example, estimating takeoffs or something like that. Or maybe in the arena of safety, identifying workplace hazards for us on particular projects. But it's not replaced people. It's just enabled us to do better and better work. And so I see the technology that's coming down the road, and there is a lot of technology coming down the road, again, whether it's robots or it's artificial intelligence or it's digital twins, or those technologies will enable us to do better and to meet the demands, the wants and the needs of society, not displace our workforce. So that's how I see technology.
Yeah. That's a very wise and sensible view, and I agree with it. It also might provide the opportunity for us to put away for decades, the general plenary comment with regards to things like scopes of work in drawings and the quality and the issue around the qualities or completeness of those. We may actually be able to put that to rest, and that would be like just one of the greatest things ever in our industry.
I do want to say there are some fundamentals that still exist in our industry, Yeah. So having a defined scope of work and designing and building to a scope of work where all of the stakeholders on our project are aligned and agree on that scope of work is going to be fundamental, whether to a successful project, whether or not we use technology or not. So, but it could certainly enable us to have a better defined and more alignment around that scope definition, and do it quicker. Mm-hmm. In the future. And so that's where I would think that technology would enable us in that arena. But again, even the pyramids, right? Fundamental, the pyramid's going to be shaped like this, and that, there was some definite scope definition there.
Yeah. This has been exactly what I thought it would be. We didn't laugh quite as much as I thought we might, but your viewpoint, the wisdom you shared around, again, we talked almost entirely about people and things that relate to people. And I think the way you queued it up with your initial remarks is magnificent. Folks will want to listen to this conversation to hear you and to be encouraged that someone who provided great thought leadership for decades and serving this industry still has caring and interest in where this industry is and where it's going. So I thank you very much for taking your time today to talk with me.
Well, thank you, Dennis. I love this industry. It's been incredibly good to me. And the people in this industry are what makes it incredible. And so it's been a great discussion and conversation. I just thank you for helping me to be a part of it.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thanks for joining us today for this episode of the Soft as Steel podcast with your host, Dennis Doran. Dennis is the author of Soft as Steel and a leading speaker and trainer for organizations across many industries and verticals. To learn more about the work Dennis is doing to activate soft skills in the workplace, contact him at dennisduranspeaking.com. Be sure to check out his book, Soft as Steel, on Amazon or wherever books are sold. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or wherever you'd like to get your podcasts. And please remember to share this episode with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you feel would benefit from the conversation. We'll see you next time on the Soft as Steel podcast with Dennis Doran.
Produced by Audivita Studios. Connect your voice to the world.